So Mighty Morphin issue 16. This issue was a crazy ride because in Mighty Morphin issue 16, the Eltarian War comes to a close in the penultimate episode, where the battle that has been raging on for several months comes to a close. We see the conclusion to the battle between Lord Zed, Zordon, and Zadias. We see the conclusion to the Rangers versus the Imperials, saved by a familiar face. But also that familiar face that saved them left the doors open for them being seen once again, possibly in the nearby future. And we've definitely got to talk about that when we cover it in the review. But this issue, I feel like, wrapped up all the plot lines we need to wrap up battle-wise in this issue, and then next week with Power Rangers issue 16, that issue will sort of be the aftermath of the war happening, and we'll see how this story will come to a complete close, and where the Power Ranger comic is going, or Power Ranger comics is going to go after the story arc moving forward. And that's something I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. Not only that, this is the last issue of Mighty Morphin that Ryan Parrott is writing, and after that, Matt Groom will be taking over writing Mighty Morphin moving forward, and I think this is a good closing issue for Mighty Morphin for Ryan, because it brings the long battle of the Eltarian War to a close. So this issue, he was able to wrap up a lot of plot threads that he started in the story arc and in MMPR, and bring them to a close. And then next week, we'll see what happens in Power Rangers and see what's going to happen moving forward. So I'm really excited to see how this story arc is going to come to an end. And if you're excited for Power Ranger comic reviews, news, and anything related to Power Rangers, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Also, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and share it around on social media, because the YouTube algorithm loves it when you leave a comment, like the video, and share it around on social media. So that would help me out a lot, so that way I can grow the channel and meet all kinds of Power Ranger fans out there. So without any further ado, let's talk about Mighty Morphin issue 16, the penultimate issue of the Eltarian War. Let's go. So much like with these Altarian War reviews I've been doing, we're going to jump between each side of the battle throughout the review, usually not in order. So we'll start with the cliffhanger we got last week with the Horrid coming down to Earth, and a lot of you guys were right, along with my brand new theory that Draken was the one who brought the Horrid to Earth. And I love how Draken comes down to Earth, because as soon as he's down on Earth, the dude is asserting his dominance over the Imperials. He's like, hey, how about we team up, because it looks like you're missing your friends. And the Imperials like, nah, I'm not going to work with you. And Draken's like, yeah, I figured you'd say that. Get 'em, boys. And he sends the Horrid after him, and the Horrid just get wiped out instantly. They do somehow manage to drain the Imperial a little bit, but they just get wiped out instantly. And I love Draken's response to seeing the Horrid getting wiped out as they fight the Imperial, because Draken's response was, well, that was disappointing. So I just love that response that Draken has, where he's like, ah, shit. That didn't go according to plan, I'm out of ideas. And I gotta say, I love Draken's whole art design that Marco Renner's got going on with this issue, along with the colouring as well, because the colouring for some of these panels that Draken is on, he pops really, really well with how that's done. So special props to the artist and the colourers for making Draken pop, especially the one where you have the shot of him not having his helmet on, where it's super bright, and the background panel for him is like this pinkish color, and it really stands out. So I gotta say, the artwork for Draken being back with his like slicked back hair with his mohawk, that looks really freaking cool. I love that brand new Draken design that he's got going on. But we gotta talk about Draken some more later once the war comes to an end, because it leaves a lot of doors open. Now, let's rewind and flip back a couple of pages and talk about what happens at the start of this issue when you first open it up. So, this issue opens up with another Zordon flashback over 10,000 years ago in the past. And this flashback is when Zordon very first joins the ranks of Zolfram and Zadias. So we see Zordon on his first day of recruitment joining these two allies that he's had in battle for the longest time, and now he's fighting. So I really love how this flashback sets up that transition of all three of these characters meeting, and they're saying, we're going to fight side by side, may the power protect you. And then when the flashback ends, you get this awesome page of the two fighting each other in battle, where you have Lord Zed and Zordon fighting Zadias, and Zadias is in the middle. He's trying to fight them both off, and it's a really cool page we get. So the battle continues between these three characters, and it looks like that Zadias has a few more tricks up his sleeve, and what he says is he learnt a few things from the Zeo Crystal Guardians, or the Protectors, and what that is how to manipulate energy. And he starts talking in the weird language they were talking in, and he's able to do some damage to the Lord Zed. And this way, he just gets into a big battle with Lord Zed some more. He gets the upper hand on Lord Zed, gets a good punch on him, and as he's almost looking like he's about to defeat Lord Zed and take him away for good, Zordon jumps in and tries to stop him. But even Zordon's useless against fighting off Zadias, because Zadias easily knocks Zordon away, and making it seem like he's about to deliver the finishing blow to Zordon when Zadias has him defeated. Hey, what's going on guys? Ash from the future here, and I noticed this while editing my review for Mighty Morphin issue 16, and that is the battle between Zadias, Zed, and Zordon is very similar to a battle that took place thousands of years ago between Zolfram, Zordon, and the Mysterious Assassin. And what's really interesting about this battle, mimicking that battle from the past, is the paneling is very much the same how that battle took place. Zordon jumping into battle, Zordon getting his ass kicked, but what's different here is how Zordon is able to turn the tide at the end of the battle, saving someone he once called his friend. And I'll leave that here and I'll talk about it again eventually, but I thought I'd add that in there. So without any further ado, back to the review. But there's one thing I gotta talk about, and that is the back and forth that Lord Zed and Zadias has. And Lord Zed asks Zadias, why didn't you kill me? Why didn't you kill me back then? And Zadias replies with, well, Dark Spectre was something, but how about a brand new boogeyman whose sole desire was to destroy Eltar? You were too perfect. The elders were so terrified they couldn't grant me unlimited power fast enough. So once again, unlimited power brought up once again, the name of the previous story arc before the Eltarian War. And that sort of transitions into Zordon getting his ass kicked by Zadias and getting knocked down and struck in the back, where it makes you think that Zordon's going to die. But it looked like that Zadias was stronger than Lord Zed and Zadias combined. And just when you think that Zadias is about to deliver the finishing blow on Lord Zed and Zordon, Zordon remembers the story about the Zeo Crystal, Zeon, the warrior god that defeated the giant monster beast we heard in that flashback many issues ago in the earlier run of Mighty Morphin. And I love the callback to this story that Zordon was telling, because as he's narrating the story and remembering it, he picks up the Zeo Crystal and plunges it into Zadias' heart, killing him, obliterating him into nothing. Zadias is dead, he's gone, he's donezo. Zordon killed him, he's got blood on his hands now. But this was one of those situations where Zordon had to kill someone. He had to deliver the killing blow to stop Zadias because he was such a monster. And I do like the callback to the whole Zeon story, where he defeated a monster with the Zeo Crystal, and that's sort of the setup that, or the callback that Ryan was going for with this issue, and I enjoyed it quite a fair bit. But I've got one question. With Zordon killing someone, is this going to have an effect on the character moving forward? Because Zordon's never had to kill, but with Zordon actually killing someone, is this going to affect the character moving forward? Is this going to have some sort of mental effect on Zordon moving forward? Because, you know, war never changes. Is this event going to affect Zordon moving forward? And I hope we find out in later issues. So meanwhile, back on Earth, you've got the Omega Rangers and the Mighty Morphin team trying to fight off the Imperial, and it looks like they're not doing so well, especially the Tiger Dragon Zord, where it looks like it's got one part of its face melting off or destroyed, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to defeat this Imperial. But out of nowhere, and this took me by surprise, it turns out that the others were stalling for the blue emissary to come in and rip the Imperial in half, much like what they did to the yellow one. And I gotta say, this caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting this character to deliver the killing blow to the Imperial. But when you think about it, it makes sense. The Rangers can't kill a god like this, and if they did, where do they go from here? Because after the Imperials, there's like the Machine Empire and stuff like that. You've had the Mighty Morphin team kill a space god, so why not have another deity kill another deity? And that makes sense, and I do like how he ripped him in half, much like the others did to the yellow one. And as the blue, not emissary, blue Imperial, yeah, emissary, blue emissary, I get them mixed up. As the blue emissary rips the Imperial in half, he says, "And as it began, so it ends." So I really like that line he says as he tears him in half. So the Imperial comes down and thanks the Rangers, and Zax makes a little bit of a funny saying, "All we did was watch, you're the one that delivered the killing blow," and the emissary says, "You did far more than that. This battle was all kinds of people coming together. Power, Omega, human, alien, friend, foe. Your combined efforts is what saved the universe." And Draken's response to this is by saying, "Fine, I'll take the credit and we can call it even." And Tommy and Jason aren't having any of this. Jason is still pissed off that he killed 11 and left him for dead, and Tommy wants him to come down here right now so he can fight him. And Draken's response is, "Another time, stupid me. I've got a stolen spaceship and an entire universe to torment. So, until next time." And after that, he teleports away. So what does that mean? It means Draken is going to be out there somewhere terrorizing the universe in the Power Ranger comics. Will we see him again? No idea. Is his story over yet? No idea. But I'm hoping we'll see him again in the nearby future, because I don't think this is the last we've seen of Draken, but it opens the doors up for us to see Draken again. So the final 2 pages is Trini and Daisha asking if Zordon is okay, and the emissary doesn't really give an answer. He gives this big monologue speech about what's going on, and as he's talking about what's happened, you see the moon, you see Zadias' helmet, his weapon on the ground, the Zeo crystal, and a busted up gauntlet and an unconscious Zordon. And the last words that the emissary says is really important. Even though the battle is won and dawn is coming, there's a shadow cast upon it, because the battle may be won, but the war is far from over. And what we see is Lord Zed towering over Zordon, and the issue ends with "to be continued." So yeah, that was Mighty Morphin issue 16. Overall, I thought it was a really solid issue, and with this issue being the penultimate episode with all the big battles wrapped up, next week is the aftermath of this war, and I'm curious to see where the characters are going to go moving forward after the story arc and what's going to happen to them, because there was some things left unresolved, such as Zordon's fate with that big cliffhanger, but I'm sure we'll get an answer to that next week. But either way, I thought this was a really good solid issue and had some really cool fight scenes, and I really liked how, this being Ryan's final issue of Mighty Morphin, he was able to wrap up a lot of plot threads that he introduced in Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers and bring them to a close in this issue. So I think that was really well done as well. So whatever Matt Groom is going to do moving forward with Mighty Morphin, I'm really excited to see as well. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So with that said, I'm going to bring this review to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. Special thanks to all the members and Patreon supporters such as Swaggerful and Andrew McCall and the Power Bunny, who is a $30 member. If you want to get, shouted at the end of every video, become a member or become a Patreon supporter, because it helps keeps the lights on and fund the channel so I can keep doing what I'm doing for you guys. With that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys in the next Power Rangers comic review with Power Rangers issue 16, the finale of the Eltarian War.